Deje ese personaje atrás. No tenga miedo y reinvéntese.
Despite what you might be thinking, these two circles are not equal. I repeat, these two circles are not equal. One is in fact larger than the other. What I need you to do is determine which one that is. So, please raise your hand if you believe the blue circle is larger than the red. All right. Please raise your hand if you believe the red circle is larger than the blue. All right, very good. Now, before I said anything about these two circles, what was your first instinct? Equal, right? Because they look equal. And the reason why they look equal is because in fact they are equal. These two circles are identical. Yet I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what did we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instinct. Just imagine as a child you're taught that the blue circle is larger than the red. If you say it enough times, you convince yourself that's the truth. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are taught that lie, that the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes tradition. And what we have to remember is that just because we have a tradition doesn't mean it's morally acceptable. Tradition and morality are not always the same. I mean, can you think of any traditions that we once had in the United States of America that we no longer have? That today we think back and that was immoral. Slavery, right? Less than 200 years ago. And that was a tradition. So the traditions we have today doesn't necessarily mean they're morally acceptable. And as we evolve as a culture, so do our traditions. Now, The Matrix is a story. It's a story. When told enough times to enough people, it becomes part of that culture. It becomes the tradition. And this story is being told over and over every day. In fact, if you believe the image on the carton is where you're getting your milk from, you're deceiving yourself. This is a fantasy. It only exists in your head. It's a blue pill fed to you by the industry to get you to buy their products. This is the Matrix, the lie we tell ourselves about where our food is coming from. The reality is far more disturbing. 90 to 95% of the milk, the meat, and the eggs that we consume in the United States are coming from these conditions. Now, this is called factory farming. This is where you take thousands of hens, pigs, and cows, you can find them into warehouses. In fact, every year in the United States, 10 billion, right? 10 billion cows, pigs, and chickens are being slaughtered for food. So what that works out to be is that every second in the United States, 300 animals are killed, just like that. So 300, 600, 900, 1,200. By the time I'm done talking today, there'll be over 1 million animals that have been slaughtered. And most of us don't even blink an eye. I mean, how is it possible that in the United States of America we can slaughter 300 animals every second and not question that? Because of the story we've been told. The story justifies the action. If you say it enough times, you actually convince yourself that's the truth. How many of you were taught as a child you need to eat meat to get protein? I know I was. How many of you were taught you need to drink cow's milk to get strong bones? Not dog milk, not chimpanzee milk, not elephant milk, not rhino milk, not hippo milk, not tiger milk, not lion milk, not giraffe milk, not elephant milk. Did I say that already? I think you get the point. Not even our own mother's milk, but we need to drink cow's milk to get strong bones. The absurdity of drinking the milk from any other species and any other being besides our own mother, when it's said enough times, loses its absurdness. So all we're going to do today is find out if the Matrix is telling the truth. Now, the first thing we've been taught is that our diet is natural. We eat meat, dairy, and eggs, so therefore it must be natural. So let's find out. You have two images on the wall. All right, again, remember the Rorschach test. You have two images on the wall. I want you to tell me all the thoughts that come to mind when you see the image on the left. And don't be afraid to scream out. Nobody's going to get sent to the principal. What do you see? Fresh, yum, sweet, right? If I came into the room with a basket of strawberries that looked just like that, organic, and I put him on the chair right here, now what would be your thoughts? Okay, same thoughts. What would you think if one of us got up and started chewing on the strawberry? Maybe you'd want to join in. If I come into the room with a basket of strawberries, how many of your mouth starts to salivate? Your mouth starts to water. If I take a strawberry and I put it under your nose, what do you smell? If I take a knife and I slice that strawberry in half and put that under your nose, now what do you smell? Notice how all the sensations remain the same. You see a strawberry and it looks like a strawberry. You smell a strawberry and it smells like a strawberry. And you take a bite out of a strawberry and surprise, surprise, it tastes like a strawberry. Exactly, it's a strawberry. But what thoughts come to mind when you see the image on the right? Cute. It's kind of a rigged audience. You're in a vegan restaurant. But you know, when I go to a classroom, you know, half the response, you'll get half the kids who say, oh, cute. Animal, pig, Wilbur, babe. So half the class will see an animal and the other half of the class will see bacon, sausage, ham, pig, sweet pork, and hot dog. They'll see a food. It's one or the other. You're either seeing an animal or you're seeing food. Now, what would happen if I took one of the pigs living, brought him into the room right here and put him right in front of you? Does that change it? Now what do we see? And I mean, what would we think if one of us got up and started chewing on the pig? Not very normal. If I come into the room with a pig under my arm, how many of your mouth starts to salivate? Right? If I take a pig and I put it under your nose, what do you smell? You smell a pig. Just like if I took a dog and put it under your nose, you smell a dog. A cat, you smell a cat. If I took a knife and I sliced that pig in half and put that under your nose, now what do you smell? You smell the stench of death. You smell a rotting corpse, bacteria, decomposing flesh. You see, there's a process involved, and I'm here today to show you that process of how you convert this animal into this product. Why should it be kept a secret? Why should we not know what we're participating in and what we're putting in our body? Now, let's make the situation slightly more realistic. If I were to put a pig on this side of the room living and a butcher's knife on the side of that room, how many people would be willing to pick up a knife and take the life of that animal? It's very rare, right? And if somebody did that, that's all right, but how many people in this room would try to stop that person from doing that, right? Would we try that? Of course. That's compassion. And that is the greatest quality of the human race. There's no other species on this planet that has that level of compassion to extend to all living beings. But if you would stop somebody from killing a pig in front of you and then go home and have this for breakfast, well, that's called hypocrisy. You know, just because it comes in a nice, neat package all dressed up in your supermarket, just because you didn't take the knife and shove it through their jugular, just because you didn't get blood on your clothes, and just because you didn't hear their screams doesn't mean you didn't participate in the killing. Every time we buy this product, we are supporting somebody else doing what we ourselves wouldn't want to do, what we ourselves wouldn't want to see, and what we ourselves wouldn't want to hear. Now, if you still see bacon, sausage, or ham when I bring a pig into the room, what happens when I change it to like not? There we go. All right. Ah, right. That's the common response. Now, I've never heard anybody say yum. Nobody ever sees dog feet, hot dog. So, why not? Why don't we see a food? Well, we've been accustomed to view this animal as our pet. I mean, how many of you have a dog or a cat, right? How many of you have a pig? Not so much. All right, so, but there are other cultures. There are other cultures. Again, the cultural story for us is, this is your pet. In another culture, certain parts of the world, they eat cats and dogs. That's their culture. That's their story they've been told. How do we feel about that? A lot of people think it's disgusting, right? I imagine every one of you probably thinks it's disgusting to eat a dog. Why would it be disgusting to eat this animal and not disgusting to eat this animal? Why would it be wrong to eat this animal and right to eat this animal? And most importantly, why would it be wrong to kill this animal and right to kill this animal? It's culture, it's the story, it's the matrix that we've been told. One culture sees this as a pet, this is a food. Another culture might see this as a pet and this is a food. Another culture might see them both as food. Certain parts of India, the cow is sacred. They would never think about eating a cow in certain parts of India. Is that wrong? Is that unnatural? That's just the story they've been told. But culture is just a story, that's all it is. It's just make-believe. What I'm concerned with is what is natural to the human species. Because every culture has a different story. But you take somebody from Asia, Africa, South America, North America, Europe, and we're all the same species, we're all human beings. So let's take a 3-year-old from any country in the world, and you put that 3-year-old in a room, and you line up 5 animals in front of that 3-year-old. A pig, a dog, a cow, a cat, and a chicken. Do you think the 3-year-old is going to know which one to eat and which one to pet? What's the 3-year-old most likely going to do? Or try to do? Play with them all. going to try to play with them all. The 3-year-old has to be taught, no. Don't play with him. Eat him. Play with him. Pet him. That's what we were taught. We didn't choose our diet. Our diet is a learned behavior. We were raised to perceive this animal as your pet and this animal as your food. But that's not the natural perception. The natural perception is that they're all of our companions. So our parents chose our diet based upon the cultural story. And if you have children, you base their diet on the cultural story being told, which is the same story. Now, let me give you another example. If you take a baby and you put a baby in a crib and you put on the right side a baby chick and on the left side an apple, which one do you think the baby's going to try to play with and which one do you think the baby's going to try to eat? Most likely, I put the inanimate object, in this case the apple, in his or her mouth. And if the baby, most likely will be piqued by the interest of the thing moving, in this case the thing being actually a living being in the chick. Now, if the baby tries to eat the chick, what's the chick going to do? He's going to run away or peck at him. Now, if you walked into a room with a baby in a crib, playing with an apple and chewing on the head of a live chick, what do you think of that baby? Like demon baby? You gonna allow that demon baby to play with your baby instead of a play date? Probably not. So if it's not all right for a baby to cause harm to an animal, even when they don't know any better, why does it become more acceptable as we get older, when we do know the difference between an apple and a baby chick? The question is, do we find it acceptable to cause harm to an animal? So let's find out. If you don't walk outside right now and you saw somebody taking a baseball bat to a dog's head, what would you do? You take action. At the very least, you call the police because you recognize that as a violation of this animal's right to be free from harm. We're all given that right at birth. Every animal on this planet, whether it's a mammal, whether it's an amphibian, whether it's a bird, a reptile, a fish, an insect, we're all earthlings. Human beings as well. We are all earthlings. And what do all earthlings have in common? Two things. We all want to live. We all desire to live. That is what creates the equality in all of us. We all want to live. And the second thing is we all avoid pain. Those two things make us equal. From the largest land animal on earth, the elephant, to the smallest, the insect, the ant, and everything in between, from the dog, the pig, to the human being, we all desire to live, and we all avoid pain. Now, if you were to walk outside right now and you saw somebody taking a baseball bat to a pig's head, would your emotional response not be the exact same thing? Of course, because the question for you is, what's the difference? What's the difference between the two? Right? Is there a difference? You might think one is cuter than the other, but that says more about you than anything about these two animals. A lot of kids will say, well, the nose looks different. I say, but they both got a nose to smell. Some kids will say, well, he's got hooves and he's got paws. I say they both got feet to walk and run. Some kids say, well, his ears are going up and his ears are flappy. They both got 2 ears to hear. They both got 2 eyes to see. They both got a heart to beat and a mind to think. And the reason why we would take action for both of them is because we recognize the equality between them and not the difference. Any difference is insignificant. The similarities, though, are striking. We know they're equal, yet every time we sit down for a meal, we create that separation. We create that inequality. It's just like we knew the two circles were equal, red and blue, but all it takes is somebody to tell you a story. The common response is, why is this happening? And there's a very simple explanation for why it does happen. If you were to walk outside right now, if you walk down US 1, you walk further down, let's say you came to a restaurant that just opened up, right? They were serving cats and dogs. That was their main item on the menu. And how many of you would be out there right now protesting? Guarantee, before the day would be over, you would have that place shut down, right? Walk down the street, a few blocks down, you'll come to a steakhouse. I don't see anybody protesting. I don't see that place being shut down. Why? Because we've been taught to perceive this animal to be different from this animal. And veganism is simply changing your perception. That's it. That's all it is. You just change your perception. We don't have to participate in this. This is not necessary. A lot of people will say to me, well, what about, if we just created better conditions? What I'm saying to you is it's not necessary to kill an animal. You don't have to kill animals. We don't have to drink their milk. We don't have to eat their eggs. It's just not necessary. I mean, people talk about humane slaughter. How do you slaughter something humanely? I mean, is that like where you rub their belly, give them some milk and cookies, and you chop their head off? If I did that to one of you, everybody would be like, well, at least he died humanely. You can't do anything violent humanely. I mean, if I were to, can I humanely rob you? Humanely rape you? What does humane theft look like? Is that where I come up to you and say, I need you to do me a favor, I need you to come up here and take your wallet, put it on the table right here, take all the credit cards, cash, everything, put it on the table right there. Pretty please, with a cherry on top. Would that be humane theft? I mean, would everybody be like, hey, if I'm gonna get robbed, I want him to do it? He's pretty nice about it. Of course not. Nobody wants to be robbed. Nobody wants to be killed. Nobody wants to be raped. It's not necessary. Think about it this way. How many of you do not own a fur coat? Raise your hand if you don't own a fur coat. That's what I thought. Why? Why don't you own a fur coat? Because it's cruel and unnecessary. Because it's cruel and unnecessary. What about if I said to you, you know what? We're gonna take some minks, right? We're gonna raise them for, fur coat. We're gonna raise them, but we're gonna, give them a lot of room. We're gonna cage free range, organic food. They're gonna live like kings and queens until we kill them, of course. After a few weeks, a few months, they won't live to their natural age. But we're gonna create humane fur. Would that be acceptable? Would you go out and buy a fur coat? No, because it's not necessary. A fur coat is not necessary, especially here in Florida, but it's not necessary anywhere. You don't need a fur coat to survive. You don't need to eat animals to survive. It's not necessary. It's just sugarcoating something. Humane slaughter. Chimpanzee milk, right? How many of you would buy it? Probably not, right? That's disgusting. Why would it be disgusting to take the milk from one animal, but not disgusting to take the milk from another animal? In fact, if you're drinking cow's milk and you find chimpanzee milk, I'd say make the switch. It makes more sense. Why would it make more sense to take the milk of a chimpanzee? Hey, look, if you're going to take the milk from any animal, wouldn't you want to take the milk from an animal that shares 98% of our DNA, 99%? I mean, doesn't that seem to be the logical conclusion? I choose you. That would seem the logical conclusion. What about your dog? If your dog was pregnant right now and I said, I pasteurize your dog's milk, would you want to drink it? That's disgusting, that's absurd. It is disgusting and absurd. No more disgusting and absurd than drinking cow's milk, though. In fact, if you have a dog, it actually makes more sense to drink dog milk than cow milk. So, how do we actually justify putting a product meant for a 2,000-pound animal, they grow to 2,000 pounds in 2 years, into this? Well, the story. Once again, the story justifies the action. Say it enough times, you convince yourself it's the truth. Every story has an author. Who is the author of this story? Right, and what is the ultimate goal of the dairy industry? I mean, why would the dairy industry be some holier-than-thou company? I mean, if I said to you, cigarettes, it does a body good, you'd probably say I work for the cigarette company, right? And none of us would believe that. But why believe this? And if you believe that milk does a body good, why would 75% of the human population be lactose intolerant? Do you know what that means? That means 3 out of every 4 people on this planet, when they drink milk, they suffer from one of these symptoms. Diarrhea, stomachache, gasiness, bloated, ear infection, excess mucus. And that's normal. If you suffer from any of these symptoms, stop drinking cow's milk. Your body's trying to talk to you. Your body's saying, look, I can't do it anymore. Stop. Listen to your body. Your body knows best. Of course, the dairy industry will come up with a new product called, lactate? They put the enzyme. You see, the reason why most people are lactose intolerant is because all mammals, and human beings are mammals, have an enzyme known as lactase. Put an A right there. That enzyme breaks down the sugar known as lactose. As we mature, we lose that enzyme. So it's normal to be lactose intolerant. But of course, the dairy industry starts injecting the enzyme into it. That's not normal. That's not natural. And again, you're going against what your body is telling you. The dairy industry says, listen to us. We know better than your body. They don't. Your body knows best. You are your best doctor. But it must be good for kids though, right? I mean, because every school I've been into, elementary, middle, and high school, is all one product being served. What product is that? Milk. But what's the #1 cause of food allergies among infants and children? Anybody want to take a wild guess? No shit. All right, so if most people on this planet can't consume milk, and most children and infants, if they have an allergy, it's from milk, cow's milk, and not peanuts, but cow's milk. Why again are we drinking this? What have we been told? Drink milk, get strong bones. Does a body good. What does a body good? Calcium does a body good. The question is this the best source of calcium? Let's find out. Countries that consume the most milk. What countries drink the most milk? I go into classrooms and you get kids being like, Florida. All right, Norway would be on this list as well. What is osteoporosis? It's a loss of bone density. It's literally weak bones. Remember what you've been taught. Drink cow's milk, get strong bones. What countries have the highest rate of osteoporosis? All right, well, either it's just a random coincidence, or there's more to it. The more to it is this. Any product that comes from an animal has animal protein. That makes sense. Animal product, animal protein. Well, that animal protein, you know, protein is the amino acids, the building blocks of protein. Those amino acids, which are good, unfortunately though, they're high in sulfur. So you want amino acids, but the problem with animal protein is that those amino acids are high in sulfur. When you put that in your body becomes acidic. You're making your body acidic, and your body's not meant to be acidic, it's meant to be alkaline, right? The pH balance is going lower than what it should be. So how does your body compensate? Well, they have to neutralize the acidity. So what do? They start releasing calcium from the bones. So the more cow's milk you drink, according to these statistics, the weaker your bones can actually become. The more animal protein you eat, the weaker your bones can actually become. In fact, if you look at countries in Africa and Asia, they don't suffer from very high rates of osteoporosis. They also don't drink very much cow's milk, if none at all, and they also don't eat as much animal protein. I mean, you can go with these alternative milks, and a lot of people are like fake meats and fake milks. No, they're not fake, they're real, right? These are real products, and they come from plants. You have the soy milk, the almond milk, rice milk, coconut milk, oat milk. You can do hemp milk, high in protein. So these are alternatives that you can do. And I know you've all heard of a taste test, right? Well, let's do a health test, all right? So here we have the milk that comes from an animal, and here we have the milk that comes from a plant, a soybean. All right, there is 150 milligrams of calcium per half a glass in your cow's milk. How many do you think is in your soy milk? It's the same. It's 150. It's exact same in a half glass. All right, so what's the difference? Well, this comes from an animal, and once again, animal protein can leach calcium out of the bones, and all animal products, meat, dairy, eggs, fish, is high in cholesterol. It has cholesterol, and your body naturally makes cholesterol. You don't need to put any more cholesterol in your body. So this has cholesterol. This doesn't. All plant products don't have any cholesterol. And all plant products, everything you see up here, everything you see over there on the table, fruits, vegetables, rice, beans, has fiber. Has fiber. So plants have fiber and no cholesterol. Animal products, no fiber and high in cholesterol. So again, let's do a health test. High in cholesterol, no fiber. High in fiber, no cholesterol. Which one do you think is the safer choice? I rest my case. But you can get all your calcium from plants. I mean, just think about it. What is the largest and strongest land animal on Earth? An elephant. It weighs 10,000 pounds. You know what his diet consists of? That's it. I don't know if he's eating spinach, but it's his plants. It's plants. You're gonna tell an elephant that his bones look a little weak? He needs to be drinking the milk of a cow? You get all your calcium from this. Now, a lot of people say to me, oh man, but you know what? I get it, but man, I love my cheese. I can't give up cheese. Look, I tell people this. If you're gonna give up any product, give up dairy. Dairy is the worst. I mean, the greatest trick ever pulled was convincing people they need to drink milk. Dairy is the worst. In terms of the cruelty inflicted upon the animals, they suffer for a longer period of time, and it's just completely unnatural and unhealthy. It is unhealthy. And there's a reason why people love their cheese and their milk. It's meant to be addictive. I mean, just think about it. It might be hard, I can't remember, but when we were younger, most likely we were nursing from our mother, right? From her milk. It has to be addictive. The child has to want to have more. Why? Because this is the greatest growth spurt in their life. This is the greatest growth spurt that you ever had when you were a baby drinking your mother's milk. Same for all other animals. And as we get older, our parents, including the animal parents, wean their children off of it. So you're supposed to desire it. You're supposed to want it, and then you get weaned off of it. They're selling a product. It's addictive. It's addictive. It has a chemical called casomorphine. When you digest it, that chemical is released. Morphine. It makes you giddy. It makes you want more. It makes your brain think, eat more, eat more. And your body is saying, I can't digest it properly. So you are addicted. And the first step to what recovery is to acknowledge it.
Reinvéntese con otras categorías. con otros gustos, con otros deseos, con otras formas de amar.